Hi, hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Danielle, and today we're going to be talking about some recommendations for Read Across America Week. I saw a post on Instagram about this, and I was going to make an Instagram post, but instead I was like, I should just make a video instead. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and start from the East Coast up down to the West Coast. So let's go ahead and get started with my recommendation for the Northeast. And for that one, I've got Bunny by Mona Awad. This is a dark academia kind of horror about Samantha Mackey, who is a post-grad writing student at this upper elite private university named Warren, and when she's in this cohort with these women who are kind of in this clique, and she's on the outside, and she calls them the Bunnies because they are this super hyper feminine group of women who go around calling each other Bunny. And I mean, you can just hear it in your voice, hear it in your head, the way that they're talking to each other. It's really well written. But essentially the Bunnies decide one day to invite her to their smut salon, which is basically a writing group that they have privately together. And they invite her, and she becomes one of them. And it is absolutely fascinating. So this book is a fever dream. It is weird, really weird, but in the best way possible. I had so much fun trying to figure out what was really going on in this book. I don't want to get too much into it because it is very open-ended and you can kind of make your own assumptions about this. But if you have read the book and you want to hear my theories on it, go ahead and leave a comment down below and I will kind of tell you what I think was going on with this book, and what the author meant by everything. But it is really, really weird. It gets dark, it gets creepy. And it was a wild ride, and I definitely do recommend reading it, even if you end up hating it, just to kind of see what your theory on what the book is about is. So that is Bunny by Mona Awad, taking place in a northern university town. So next up, we're going to go over a recommendation for the South. And this is a book that I have recommended before. It is Starling House by Alix E. Harrow. And I have a beautiful OwlCrate edition of this book. And thank God, because it is one of my favorite books. This follows our main character, Opal, who is an orphan, a high school dropout. She's just kind of a mess. And she lives in Eden, Kentucky. And since she was a little girl, she has been obsessed with this fantasy series, or is it a book? I don't know if it's a series or a book, but it's called The Underland by this author who actually lived in her hometown. So, and the author kind of left this house behind, and it's just this eerie gothic thing, this presence that everyone agrees is evil and you should stay away from it. But she gets the chance to go inside and possibly make a little extra cash working there, and she takes it because she is obsessed. And it turns out that the guy who owns the house or lives there or whatever, his name is Arthur, and there are some sinister things happening in this town, in this house, and it is a true gothic masterpiece. It is so good. There's some magic in it. Let's see. The secrets of Starling House and Arthur's own nightmares have become far too real. As Eden itself seems to be drowning in its own ghosts, Opal realizes that she might finally have found a reason to stick around, and now she'll have to fight. So it was just so good. It's really good. It's haunting. It's atmospheric. It is just so beautifully written, and I absolutely loved it. There is a hint of a romance in it, just a hint, just a little one. But it is so beautifully done. So beautifully done. Highly recommend, and it has all of the Southern charm, kind of creepy Southern charm, but it has Southern charm in it for a Southern state. So Next up, we've got The Midwest. Now, this is one that I read. I did a reading vlog on it. I'll go ahead and I'll link it up above. But it is Murder Road by Simone St. James. Now, Simone St. James is an author that I had tried before this book, and I was not thrilled with it. And I know lots of people love her work, but I was not happy with the book that I read. I can't remember what it was called. I don't know. It was like a ghost story, but it didn't work for me. This one, however, really, really worked for me. And I have a nice edition of it from Illumicrate's Evernight editions. So this follows April and Eddie, who are on their honeymoon, and they are traveling down this road, and they come across this woman, and she dies. And they rush her to the hospital, but she's dead, and they become the prime suspects, and they need to figure out what happened to her in order to get off of the suspect list, essentially. And they are like basically stuck in this small town of Cold Lake Falls, right off of Lake Huron. And they kind of have to figure out what's going on this road that everybody says is haunted. So, the people in the town are like, they probably didn't commit the crime because there's a ghost. And they're going to go figure out what these people are talking about, because there's no way there's actually a ghost. It is so good. It is so creepy. Everything is interconnected. I really like the way everything came around at the end. I really enjoyed reading this one. I'm eager to pick up some more Simone St. James. Maybe it was just the one book that was a miss for me, but after reading this one, I'm really excited about it. I actually read this while I was in Michigan, in like the Lake Huron area, so I got to like see kind of what it was like at 4th of July. This takes place on 4th of July. It was very exciting for me. Very exciting time. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this one. And you can see this has like a creepy, I don't know, can you see? Can you see the creepy like girl on the back, the ghost? I don't know. It was really good. It was a true ghost story. I really enjoyed this, and I highly recommend checking it out. And finally, our Western, it's not a Western book. I hate to say that. So it takes place in the West, in one of the Western states, and that is A Sea of Unspoken Things by Adrienne Young. I have never read anything by Adrienne Young until I read this book. I want to read everything she's written because she is just such a beautiful writer. I mean, wow. This book specifically follows James Golden, who goes back to her hometown in this little tiny, like, is it in California? Yeah, this little secluded town in California in the middle of the forest, when her twin brother, Johnny, dies. She basically goes back to take care of his affairs, and she starts to wonder whether his death was really an accident or whether it was something more nefarious. And she kind of decides to investigate it herself. So it is kind of like a crime thriller, but it doesn't have a thriller feel. It has more of a mystery feel, kind of almost gothic because of the setting. It's very like gloomy. Think Forks. This takes place in Forks, basically. A very similar feel to it. Small town, rainy, foresty, Western states. That's this. So basically Johnny had been working on a project, and he was out working on it when he was killed. Supposedly it was a hunter's accident. However, she starts coming across photos and things that make it seem like maybe it wasn't. And of course she's got this twin thing with Johnny where she's like, I don't know, I have a feeling about this. And she keeps seeing Johnny everywhere, and she thinks he's trying to tell her something. So it's a great mystery. It's very atmospheric. I think that there was a lot of tension and mystery in it. I don't know that it was quite suspenseful enough to be considered a thriller, but it was really good. I highly recommend it. I really liked the writing especially. I just think that her writing was so lush and beautiful and descriptive. I know she's written like a pirate book. I totally want to read that. I want to hear all the beautiful, lush things she has to say about the ocean. So I plan on picking up more Adrienne Young, but A Sea of Unspoken Things takes place in California and was a beautiful read. Highly, highly recommend. So those are the 4 books that I am recommending for Read Across America Week. I'd love to hear if you have suggestions for books in any of these regions of the United States that take place there. I would love to hear your recommendations, and let me know what you're reading in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.